We're on the corner of Harris Road and Kyle Canyon Road. And today the goal is El Bastardo. I'm doing a 360-degree view, and of course you can see just about nothing. It's 5 a.m. Let's see. Let's get a shot of the moon. At least see one light up there. There you go. There's the moon and a few stars. And as I mentioned, the goal is El Bastardo, which is next to La Madre Mountain, El Padre Mountain, Burnt Peak, and possibly, no promises, I may continue on down into Red Rock Park and Calico Basin and end at Calico Basin. Otherwise, it's just going to be El Bastardo, but it will be an awesome adventure this morning, or today. Okay, onward. The desert at night is a much more lively place than during the day. I can hear animal sounds, burros, birds, all kinds of animals out here. We are in that time now that is referred to as atmospheric dawn. It's the time of the morning before the sun actually rises, but you can see the light lighting up the atmosphere. Let's get a 360-degree view. You can see the hills around us. We're on Harris Springs Road in the Madre Mountains Wilderness. You're looking up Harris Springs Road here. And you see some stars still out. But it's very quiet, peaceful, and beautiful in the desert at this time. It's probably around 5:30, 5:45. Third Sunday in September. So give you an idea of the time of year. And we're continuing to head up Harris Springs Road. And we're looking for a left turn that's going to take us up toward La Madre, El Padre, Burnt Peak, and El Bastardo, which is our goal. So here we go. I want to catch some different moments of the sunrise here. Looking back toward Gas Peak, which is the high point in the crimson skyline there. We're in the Joshua Tree Band, which is between 4,000 and 5,000 feet. Probably around 4,500 at this point. Harris Springs Road, the direction we are headed. There's one lone star. Maybe it's Venus, we don't know. And back down toward Gas Peak. And onward up Harris Springs Road. Okay, you can start making things out now. There, right in the center, you see the tip of the sheep range over that ridge in the foreground to the left of the Joshua tree. Then to the right of the Joshua tree, we're looking at Gas Peak, the high point. And you can see the sun rising over the ridge. There's Harris Springs Road. And then just in the center here, behind the ridge, is La Madre Mountain. You can see Devil's Slide. Looking up Harris Springs Road. Mount Charleston, or Charleston Peak, right in the center. Now we're moving over to Mummy Mountain in the center. Mount Charleston Wilderness. Then around again. And let's zoom in on Gas Peak. Definitely just before sunrise, and you're seeing sheep range, Gas Peak, looking into the La Madre Mountains Wilderness, and we can see the goal today, which is El Bastardo. And there's Burnt Peak. And here's La Madre Mountain. Harris Springs Road. There's Harris Mountain. Charleston Peak. Mummy Mountain. With actually Fletcher Peak to the left. And back around to the Sheep Range and Gas Peak. And by the way, looking at the mountains straight ahead, La Madre Mountain on the left, Burnt Peak in the center, and El Bastardo on the right. I've done the La Madre, El Padre, and Burnt Peak loop. Didn't get up to El Bastardo, so today we're going to hit El Bastardo and then head off to the right, possibly, depending on when we get up there, and maybe down into Red Rock Park. Maybe not. We don't know. We may head back this way, depending on the time. And if you're on Harris Springs Road, wondering where to head up toward La Madre Mountain, this unmarked road is the place. So just to give you an idea where we are. But watch for this cutoff, and it's going to parallel this ridge all the way up to the La Madre Mountain area. Here's a rare moment as the sun just begins to touch the Mount Charleston Wilderness. Mount Charleston in the center there, Mummy Mountain to the right, Harris Mountain to the left. There's the sheep range. La Madre Mountain. Burnt Peak. And El Bastardo. And you can see the Devil's Slide at La Madre Mountain. Another shot of Harris Mountain. Charleston Peak. Fletcher Peak, Mummy Mountain. There's Mummy's Head. Then right up here, you're looking at Angel Peak. Mount Charleston Wilderness in the sunrise. We're passing through a great little camping area at the base of La Madre Mountain. You see La Madre Mountain straight ahead there. And people camp here and then make the trip up to La Madre Mountain the next day. Very good way to go. Anyway, we're continuing on up. And our approach is going to be up Burnt Peak and then angle over to El Bastardo. Okay, we've reached the entrance sign for La Madre Mountains Wilderness. And there we are. And right behind that sign is La Madre Mountain. And that area that looks like a limestone slide is actually called Devil's Slide. And you can see it from far away during the summer. It looks like a snowfield as it glistens in the sun. Okay, continuing upward. This is probably a good time to look at the overall route. I'm trying out my wind muffler also, so hopefully you can hear this. There's a lot of wind. We're looking straight at La Madre Mountain. Now we're moving over to the right. This high point right in the middle is Burnt Peak, and just to the right of Burnt Peak is El Bastardo. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue up this road. This is the road that branched off from Harris Springs Road. We're going to continue up until the road ends. And then, as you see the Burnt Peak, right in the middle, you see a ridge leading up to Burnt Peak. We're going to take that ridge and come close to the summit of Burnt Peak. We have summited Burnt Peak a number of times already. So what we're going to do is angle off to the right as soon as we can and then head down that saddle between Burnt Peak and El Bastardo. Going to look at the terrain there and just see what the possibilities are as far as ascending El Bastardo from that area, and then also angling around to the Keystone Thrust behind El Bastardo. That's the cliff system at the back of Red Rock Park. When you're entering Red Rock Park and you look at some cliffs in the back, that's the Keystone Thrust. We're going to see if we can connect with the Keystone Thrust and then continue on to the right of El Bastardo along the Keystone Thrust, and then descend right around the White Rock Mountain area in Red Rock Park. Now, we don't know if, what things are going to look like up at El Bastardo. We may just turn around and head back the way we came, or we may continue on along the top of the Keystone Thrust. So here we go. Okay, here we are at the very end of the road. Now, if you're in a motorized vehicle, it was blocked off about 1/8 of a mile below where I'm standing, but this is the end of the road. After this, it's wilderness all the way. And you can see Burnt Peak, and we'll be heading up that ridge right in the center toward Burnt Peak, and then angling over toward El Bastardo. Lots of wind today, so I really hope this wind muffler is working. And then here is a great view of the overall area, and now we're looking straight down into the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And you can see Angel Peak on the right. Mummy Mountain is the main feature there in the center. You can see the very tip of Mount Charleston. That's about it. And then this is what this area looks like that I'm in. So now it's just a matter of heading through the wilderness, finding that ridge and heading up the ridge to Burnt Peak. So here we go. As you're heading up the ridge toward Burnt Peak, just keep an eye on the ridge and shoot for the center of that ridge. And in this case, a little trail appeared. Don't trust these little trails because they appear and disappear in the wilderness, but this one looks like it's fairly steady. And as we look ahead, we see Burnt Peak right in the center there. So the key is just keep heading up the ridge toward Burnt Peak. And if a trail appears, go ahead and take it and it'll help you through the brush. But if it veers away from this ridge and away from your target, then take the wilderness. Okay, onward. Okay, there's our first destination, Burnt Peak. And as you can see, summiting Burnt Peak is a series of, is a matter of topping a series of rises. We're on the first one, and then you can see the second one straight ahead. That's that hill. Then a little to the left and behind is the third one. And then once we reach that third rise, we should be able to see our way up the final section of Burnt Peak. And there you have El Bastardo. Let's take a look at both of them here. El Bastardo. Burnt Peak. And I would show La Madre Mountain, except, well, let's go ahead and do it, but it's right in the sun. So there it is, right in the sunrise. And then just continuing around. You can see Kyle Canyon below us. And there is Angel Peak right in the center. And then the Mount Charleston Wilderness. And by the way, you can see Griffith Peak now. And there's a larger view. And then a little bit around this way, let's see if we can see it, would be the Sheep Range. I don't know if we're going to get a good view of it. Yeah, we will. And there's the Sheep Range. And you can see the tip of Gas Peak, that little pointy peak, just behind the hill in the foreground. So yes, there was actually a trail that got me up to this point, and I'm going to see if I can pick out that trail going up to this next rise, because if you're on the trail, even though it's very narrow and it's hard to even see because it's so faint, it does weave through the plants without having to wade through brush. Well, I've lost and found this trail about 10 times. I'm only still approaching the summit of the second rise. So yeah, just keep your logic that you're in the center of the ridge, ascending, and that trail will appear and disappear. So yeah, we are on it now, but I'm sure I'll lose it a few more times before we get to Burnt Peak. We've topped the second rise. There's El Bastardo looking closer than ever, but we have one more, at least one more rise. Here's the third rise ahead of us, and you can see the very tip of Burnt Peak in the background. So onward and upward. This next rise looks a little more rocky. And by the way, great shot of the Sheep Range. Gas Peak on the right and Fossil Ridge right in between. So let's zoom in on those. The pointy peak just to the left of this ridge in the foreground is Gas Peak. Okay, let's zoom in even more. There we are, looking straight at the Sheep Range, Fossil Ridge, and Gas Peak. This may be the third or the fourth rise. That third rise just kept going up beyond where I could see from below. There's Burnt Peak straight ahead, and you can see another couple rises between us and maybe the final approach to Burnt Peak. We don't know. There could be many more that we cannot see. So anyway, yeah, let's look around. And there you're looking at the far side of the Devil's Slide and La Madre Mountain summit. Let's see, I'm not in a very good spot for doing a 360-degree turn. There is the Sheep Range, Gas Peak to the far right. You're looking down at Kyle Canyon. And yeah, I can show you the exact place where the beast is parked, where we began. Let's zoom in on it. You'll see a straight line road, and then just a little to the left of the end of that straight line road, you travel left and go up Kyle Canyon Road, and then there's the parking area. So here we go. Let's zoom in. And we're looking straight at the parking area right now. About as much zoom as I can give you. And you can see how it's become fairly rocky up here. It looks so gradual from below, but no, it's not. There's the Mount Charleston Wilderness, Mummy Mountain on the right, Griffith Peak on the left. Let's see if I can do the rest of this 360-degree turn. I am actually on those rocks we were looking at just a moment ago. Yeah, there's El Bastardo over the hill there. There's Burnt Peak. Let's get a better shot of El Bastardo if we can. Yeah, right up there is El Bastardo. So, yeah, I'm holding on with one hand here. So, let's get to a better spot, a little more secure. Here's a little fossil in the middle of nowhere. We are at approximately 7,300 feet elevation, and this looks like it could be a sea fossil, but we do not know. Another fossil not too far from the last one. There's a good shot of El Bastardo. I've stopped counting rises. I've been climbing rocks for some time now. This is the look of the terrain that I'm on right now. And then there is where I started. Straight down that road you see in the distance. So let's continue on up. Well, good news. I've just topped the last rocky rise between me and the summit of Burnt Peak, which is right there. It's only about 150 feet elevation above where I am. Can't see El Bastardo from here, but we'll just show a little bit of a circuit here. There we are at the sheep range. See if we can turn a little more because La Madre Mountain's right up there. So we'll go a little further up. We'll get on top of Burnt Peak so we get a better view of everything. We're just below the summit of Burnt Peak. I'm going to start angling over toward El Bastardo, which is right ahead there through the trees. And you can see why it's called Burnt Peak. Definitely burnt. Okay, onward to El Bastardo. And when I reach El Bastardo, if I can see a way through to Red Rock Park, I'll continue over the ridge. If not, I'm going to turn around and head back to Kyle Canyon Road. Okay, we're in the saddle between Burnt Peak and El Bastardo, which is up that way but beyond. And I'm just looking for routes here, looking down into Red Rock Park actually. Here's a shot of the Calico Hills in Red Rock Park. And then you can see over this direction, you can see the scenic drive. And then looking up beyond, you can see Blue Diamond Mountain. So there they are. And then if I move over this direction a little bit, you can see Turtle Head Peak. There's just the edge of Turtle Head Peak. So the big question is, what can I do from this point and I'm going to explore a little further. I may, unless I see a real route somewhere, I may turn around. I'm unfamiliar with this area. I'm wondering if there's a way down this gully into Red Rock Park, because I can see, let's see, I can see below, I can see White Rock, the edge of White Rock Mountain. And let's see. Yeah, you see the very edge. White Rock Mountains down there. I guess not so good a view after all, but oh yeah, there it is. There's the edge of White Rock Mountain. So the question is how to get down there. So we'll look around a little bit more up here. And by the way, there's a good shot of the Rainbow Mountains. And then Potosi Mountain in the background. Okay, there's Burnt Peak. And I'm just looking for ways down into Red Rock Park. And actually, this ridge line here, or this gully in front of me, looks like it could be gradual enough, and it heads down to an area. So you can see a wash down there, down below. And then there's the Calico Hills. So, yeah, that is a possibility, but I don't want to start sliding down that thing. Rather, I think I'll try it from the bottom up on a future trip and see if it is possible to ascend right in this gap between El Bastardo up here and Burnt Peak. So yeah, I'm going to turn around and head back for now. But this does present a possibility. Now, also over here, you see that outcrop there. I've actually stood on that. I came up to that point from Willow Creek area, Red Rock Park. I came up through the circuit on White Rock Mountain, up through La Madre Springs area, and then ascended past the cabin up to the top of the Keystone Thrust cliff system and navigated over to that point. It's just getting from here to that point that just looks very dicey. So that's another thing to figure out. But I want to see how far I can get, how far I can ascend from the bottom. If I can ascend to this point, then we've got it made. I don't want to invest myself in heading down and get down to about halfway down or something and then reach a cliff dead end and then have to come all the way back up. So anyway, yeah, here we are. Beautiful views all around us. And it's pretty cool that from this location, you can see Mummy Mountain. And then you turn around in this direction and you can see the Rainbow Mountains, Potosi Mountain, Red Rock Park, the Calico Hills, and Turtlehead Peak, and then Blue Diamond Mountain in the distance, just on the other side of Red Rock Park. And you can even see the visitor center. Let's zoom in on that. Yeah, the visitor center is right down in this area. Too much glare on my screen, so I'm not sure that I'm focusing right on it. I think that I am. Okay, so that's the exploration for today. And we've made it quite a ways. We'll figure out this Kyle Canyon Grand Crossing in the future before we're done. Oh, by the way, yeah, that area that we were looking at was actually the sandstone quarry parking area. Right down in that area. And the Red Rock Park Visitor Center is right through this area. Okay, and the reason I go out of my way to figure out all these landmarks, and by the way, there is the southern Las Vegas Valley. The reason I figure out all these landmarks is that I want to know wherever I happen to be ending up in any future adventure, I want to be able to look at something familiar in the distance and use that to triangulate my return trip. So anyway, yeah, there you have it. Heading back now. Here's a better view of that far point that I reached. You can see it on the LasVegasAreaTrails.com La Madre Mountain West page. And I actually reached this point from down in Red Rock Park at the Willow Springs picnic area. Going around the back side of White Rock Mountain. And speaking of White Rock Mountain, here's a better view. And that's the tip of White Rock Mountain. And if you look carefully, you can see, let's get a better view here. You can see the scenic drive that passes the tip of that mountain. So yes, I'm going to try to ascend this from the bottom up. And if it works, great. Then I've got a way all the way from Kyle Canyon Road to Red Rock Park. If it doesn't, I just turn around and head back. So that'll be a future adventure. And here is Bridge Mountain. Here is Mount Wilson. And then Potosi Mountain in the background. So just to give you a little more perspective of where we are. Okay, onward, back up toward Burnt Peak, and then down that same ridge I ascended. and past all those rocky outcrop plateaus. That'll be fun. Then back to Kyle Canyon Road. Well, here's a quick look from the top of Burnt Peak. And there you can see El Padre Mountain. Then over to La Madre Mountain. And by the way, yes, here is that route that'll take you from El Padre to Burnt Peak. And I actually made the La Madre, El Padre, and Burnt Peak where we're standing. I made that circuit, and you can find that on Las Vegas area trails. And then we come up over this direction. And here you can see El Bastardo, looking over into Red Rock Park. There's Griffith Peak right in the center, and you can see Sexton Ridge. And I've got a page on a few videos on Sexton Ridge. Haven't made it to the top from Lovell Canyon, but one day I will. And there's Griffith Peak to Charleston Peak, Charleston Peak to Mummy Mountain. And in the foreground of Mummy Mountain, you can't see it too well because it's kind of overshadowed by Mummy's cliffs. In the background is Fletcher Peak. And then, so let's look at the large view. And then we're looking down into Kyle Canyon, over to the Sheep Range. And Gas Peak, just over that ridge. It's the pointy peak that you see there. And then you're looking down into Kyle Canyon, and you'll see a straight road down there. At the end of that straight road is where I'm parked. So there you have the whole story of where we are. We're heading back down that ridge, going to circumvent all those rocky outcrops, those bluffs, all 1,000 of them, and then head back down to the road that connects with Harris Springs Road and back to Kyle Canyon Road. So here we go. And by the way, if you look along that ridge, see that ridge over there in the foreground? That's the ridge that I traversed from the Willow Creek picnic area in Red Rock Park. And this high point in the center is the furthest I got. And as you can see, there's still some traversing between that and El Bastardo and where I stand now. Nailed it. I came out after navigating those ridges up there between here and Burnt Peak. Came out right at the road. So what are the chances? And now we're heading down the road. 2 o'clock. I'm thinking within a couple hours at the most, I'll be back at the car. So here we go. And by way of review, we went up this ridge up to Burnt Peak and then headed down to the saddle between Burnt Peak and El Bastardo. And we looked down to see if there was a way down that saddle into Red Rock Park. And what I'm going to do is go to Red Rock Park and try from the bottom up. Right at the base of White Rock Mountain, there should be a wash. And that wash should lead to a ridge. And that ridge should lead up to that saddle. We shall see. Okay, the lighting is much better on the way back. So here's the sign for the Madre Mountains Wilderness. And we're heading down, but we're right in the camping area. So we'll look at one camp spot just to get an idea what is here. That's a camp spot right there. Let's see if we can find another one. Of course, you need to bring everything that you're going to need because there's no water here, no services whatsoever, no electricity. So, yeah, it's a beautiful place though to camp. Here's another little spot. What makes it so beautiful is that it's close to Las Vegas. Probably, if you have a four-wheel drive, you could probably get here in, about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. And you're in the wilderness, totally, once you're here. Under the stars. It is a beautiful place to camp. And also, I don't believe there's any charge here. So you don't have to get a permit. There's no charge. At least that's what I think. And I don't see anyone collecting. So yeah, it's an awesome place to camp. A lot of little areas that you could pull out. Let's see if we can find a nice one here. You just have to know where it is, though. You've got to know where the road is. How to turn off of Harris Springs Road. Exactly where. Yeah, here's a great spot. I think I hear someone coming. Yeah, look at that spot. Awesome, awesome. And it looks like we've got someone driving up this road. It's definitely a four-wheel drive road. Yeah, dirt bikes, four-wheel drive vehicles, make it a good one too. Good condition, because this gets very rugged in places. Okay, so now I'm going to make a beeline back to Kyle Canyon Road. So here we go. By the way, we're back on Harris Springs Road, and You didn't see it earlier because it was dark. So this is what Harris Springs Road looks like in the light. And we'll do a quick 360. There right in the center is La Madre Mountain. Now in the center is Burnt Peak. And just to the right of it is El Bastardo. And that saddle in between the two mountains is where we ended up today. Mount Charleston Wilderness. And now you can see the Joshua Tree Forest here. We're about, 5,200 feet elevation. Okay, onward. Remember that straight stretch of road that I showed you from the mountains way up there? Let's see, let's take a look. Zoom in here. That little saddle between Burnt Peak and El Bastardo is where we were standing not long ago. There it is. And we were looking down at it. And that road is right here. This is the road that leads to this, it's like a 1/8 mile stretch that leads to Kyle Canyon Road. And then we take a left and we're at the car. So what a day this has been. All the way up to that saddle up there between those two mountains. And here we are back at the beast. I think I must have clocked in between 20 and 30 miles today. But what a great immersion in the wilderness. Entire day. About 11 hours. And once again, it's pretty cool that you can see exactly where we were at the highest point. Right in the saddle between those two mountains. Burnt Peak on the left, El Bastardo on the right. We were in that dip between, looking down at Red Rock Park. What I think I'm going to do is, as I mentioned, come up to that point from Red Rock Park, and once I figure that out, then I can do what we'll call the Kyle Canyon Grand Crossing. We cross right over that, the La Madre Mountains, down into Red Rock Park from here. But that's going to be a while before that actually happens. Could be next spring, who knows. Anyway, awesome adventure today, and that's it.